Good evening. Welcome to the Select Board's meeting of May 20th, 2024. Let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mr. Clerk, could you motion for reorganization?
Yes, I will make a motion to reorganize the board. Want me to do the nominations, or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I nominate Carol Julius as clerk. You gonna second that? You're gonna just?
You gonna do them all at once, or you want to do?
Oh, you
them
wanna do them all? Oh, okay, all right. I nominate Peter Spagone Jr. as
Vice Chair.
Vice Chair.
Vice Chair. Okay. I'm trying to figure what the hell I was. Vice Chair. And
This meeting's going nowhere already.
I nominate David Sheedy as chair.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Congratulations, sir. Nice to have you back.
It's great to be here, I may add. And Carol, I know they didn't do a recount, but congratulations on your reelection.
Thank you.
And for everyone else out there that was
Appreciate the support.
on the ballot. Good job, congratulations to the winners and for those that came in second. There are plenty of openings, okay, around town on different boards and committees. We ask that you join us. Thank you. We'll now go to open forum. Anyone here for open forum? Seeing none, we will close open forum. We will now go to our 6 o'clock appointment with the famous Veterans Agent Chris Buckley to give us an update on next Monday's Memorial Day ceremony.
Program.
Hot off the presses?
Yes, disregard that phone number that's on the front there. I will email you guys that without it.
Thank you.
Everything else is up to date. All right. So on Monday, the 27th at 10 o'clock at our famous town common, we will hold our Memorial Day ceremony for 2024. Really, you know, this is the fifth one I've done now. One thing I do want to point out to everybody is we're up to 29 this year. That's how many names I'm reading off, and 19 of them are Vietnam era. So I mean, we're getting there. I mean, that kind of just goes into that. Pretty much represents the demographic to a T. But
Nice.
any questions? Anything?
So it's 10 o'clock at the Common?
Yes.
Okay.
Boy.
And we've already talked to the rain gods. They are not going to be present that day.
No,
That's good. All right, hope to see you all there. Thank you,
I look
Chris.
forward to it. It's always a fun time, great time.
Commercial
Commercial club
club.
afterwards, right?
Commercial club afterwards, directly afterwards. So I know, just want to clear one thing up. Sometimes 12 o'clock has been put out.
Yeah.
The way they've been run it the last couple of years, we wrap up at about 10:45, and then everybody heads over there. And I'd say I'm probably over there between 11:15 and 11:30, and everything's going. So if anybody who wants to go, definitely just come to our ceremony, and then they can roll right over to the commercial club.
Right.
Okay,
Perfect.
thank you, Chris.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate
guys.
it. Continue your good work.
Yes.
Madam Clerk, we will now move to our action items.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I think that the town clerk, were you here for open forum?
Yes.
You missed it. Consider
Okay, we will,
going back to open forum.
before we go on to our action items, I'll reopen the open forum portion for our newly elected town clerk.
No longer interim.
No
No
longer.
longer interim, elected.
The queen is dead.
yes.
Long live the queen.
Where's your tiara?
It's in my office. Legitimately. I have thought about wearing it, but I feel like I need a crown. That's okay.
Have you got this down yet?
There it is.
You gotta throw the elbow in too,
Oh, really?
and your arm doesn't get tired.
Oh.
The things you
okay.
learn in college.
Was that after hours?
It was at Wheaton, believe it or not.
I was just coming to talk to you guys about the town election. It went really well in one respect. We had a turnout, not only in person, but by mail of 926 votes, people voting. So that was much better because the year before we had only 138 total. So it was a huge improvement. A lot of those were vote by mail, which was really interesting. But we did have an issue at the facility with parking, and we had a lot of complaints. So we wanted to make sure that we addressed those so that next year we could find a solution. And there's a couple of different, there's probably one solution that I know of, which is moving the election spot just for annual town election to the middle school, because there is already, the space is already reserved for next year on what will be our town election date. And I know that by the time even we had arrived an hour early, most of the parking spots were taken. A lot of the election staff did have to park in the very back. And I was told that by people that were voting that they were not finding parking, period. So I do think I have to address it moving forward. And I just wanted to bring it up to you guys tonight. I'm not sure. I wanted to loop you in on it and see if we could come up with a solution moving forward.
I mean, I heard from people too who were upset. That's why I, specifically asked you to come tonight. And I, on the one hand, I recognize like might be confusing for people to move for just one event, but I also, it's untenable to expect people to go through what they went through on Saturday again. And it's on us to figure that out. And we do have a little bit of time, but if the school is already booked for that day, then that kind of,
Well,
that's all I have to say.
I agree that the school may have that very well booked ahead of time, but again, we can ask them, based on what it costs for, this is a town vote, the entire town's involved in this. We could ask them that, is there a chance they could change the days? That we settled with, they could say, it can't be done, they've already paid it, something like that. But I think it's our responsibility to do something about the problem. Moving it to middle school is an option, totally understand that. But I think that's gonna create an awful lot of confusion, as it did when we moved it from the middle school to the high school, especially where it's only gonna be one of the elections that we have.
Right.
And I mean, there were people, and I voted late, but people that I was at a breakfast with this morning said it was so bad that there was two people in the car. One drove the car around while the other one went in and voted, and they switched off.
Now, that's dedication.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
right.
was.
But how many didn't?
Yeah,
I heard from those at the breakfast too. You only go around 2 or 3 times, then
Yep.
it's just not gonna do it, so.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if it's not an option, which, as Carol said earlier, it may not be, where they've got it booked and, they've already planned it. If we can move it, that's great. If we can't, I think middle school would be,
I think it's the only alternative, but
Right.
should we be doing it, could we ask in school, okay, if you book next year, can we ask you in the future not to, and just have the election 1 year at the middle and then just bring it back to the high school where all elections will stay the same? These are the different options that I think we have to go and ask.
and if we move it to the middle school, then have people at the high school that whole day to like make sure people
Right.
understand
Correct.
that it's been moved, and then you may lose people who are like, well, I'm not gonna drive over there, I've been here, and
But it's, I think
But at
it's been a
least
lot better
to
than what
keep
we went
that.
through
But I
on
would say,
Saturday.
you might want to put very, very large signs up.
Yep.
Even the LED signs, if they can be moved to the 2 entrances on
Right.
Bedford and on Plymouth, right there, and say, election at middle school or something like
Right.
that.
right, and you said there's a process too.
Yeah, so there's a process through the state. If we move the election location, we have to notify every registered voter by mail. Yeah, and I do have to have the state come out and look at the facility just to make sure that, I know it is handicap accessible, and obviously it's a school, but they do have to come out and look at the new location. And then I did have recently, just a couple weeks ago, we had a safe audit done with the federal, with Homeland Security and the state, that was conducted on the junior, senior high school and this facility, because they are election locations. I will call them and just make sure that I don't need to have them come back out and look at the middle school. It is free, so it wouldn't be any cost to us, and they may not need to, but just in case, I'll follow up on that.
And you said you could do the notification as part of the census?
I'm hoping I can do it
So
as part of the
hopefully that wouldn't
census.
cost us that extra mailing.
Yeah, that's my hope, is that it would just be able to go out with the census,
Okay.
and which would be perfect, because then it wouldn't just be registered voters at the time, it would be
Everybody.
every household.
Are there drawbacks from moving it from the high school to the middle school? I mean, it was middle school for years. Was there issue at the time, do you know of, or?
The only concern I have that I'm not 100% on is where in the middle school it would happen. So when I was a kid growing up, it was always in the cafeteria,
Right.
Right.
which was a great location, and I think would probably be the preferred location.
Right.
But I know it was mentioned the gym,
Oh.
and there is concern with the state when I mentioned the hallway to the gym
Right.
would not be probably, it probably wouldn't meet their requirements for accessibility,
Yep.
which was interesting. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, no, I would say that, I'm
Um,
with you. I mean, I remember it being in the cafeteria
Yeah.
too.
Right.
Yeah. So that was the only thing that, when I was talking with the state about it, the woman that I was speaking to mentioned she would probably need to come out then and look at the facility because of that, if it wasn't gonna be in the cafeteria.
Right.
So I said that would be fine. I'm new, so any eyes is better than just me.
Yep, 100%.
I mean, the only other option is move town meeting to April. Or move town meeting to April. No?
Like
hard
you would
enough
have
to get
go
to
through
the
a
date that
bylaw
we-
change for
I
all
know,
that.
I know, like we did already.
All right.
Move the town election from a Saturday.
Well, but, oh, yeah. Because somebody said that to me, well, just, they were like, well, why did you move it? And I said, well, for people who don't remember, we moved it so that the town election would happen after the town meeting.
Right.
And if we move, so we can't move it back to where it was unless
Right.
we also move town meeting back, and then that puts more pressure on
Well, I'm saying.
everybody to have a budget ready in April when, as it is sometimes, we don't
Right.
know
Who's to
even
know that
going in
if
May.
there's not something booked at the school
Right.
the week,
Yeah.
I mean, you can ask them and then see where it goes from there.
Let's see what they can do, and then we'll take the next step on, if we have to move it, we have to get started.
Yeah.
To make sure that they
Thank
don't
you.
have something going on down there.
Right, yeah, yeah.
Probably should find out sooner than later, as most things around here, we'll be making decisions next
Yeah.
April.
Government takes time.
Or make a motion that
Long
we send a
time.
letter to the schools. and
Sure,
see.
I'll make a motion that we send a letter to the schools asking if there's any sort of reconsideration they can give to making that school available for only town election on that day.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Thanks, Katie. Congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Madam Clerk, moving on to action item.
Yes, sir. I move to approve the following secondhand article license effective April 30th, 2024 through May 1st, 2025. 23 sports cards and collectibles. Randy Bradshaw, manager, 494 North Bedford Street. Hours Monday through Friday, 12 to 8, Saturday 2 to 7, Sunday 2 to 6.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. I move to appoint Peter Spagone Jr. as Plymouth County Advisory Board Representative effective July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025.
Yes.
Second with discussion?
So last year, it was Peter
Yep.
was the representative and David was the alternate. So if you want to keep it that way, you can keep it that way. Or you can change it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm all for it.
It's fine, it's fine.
Any further discussion?
Because I believe they have a meeting coming up.
Tomorrow.
About 15 minutes.
It's at 10 o'clock
Thursday,
tonight.
June 6th, actually.
When is it?
Thursday, June 6th.
Oh, good, I can't wait.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I make a motion to appoint David Sheedy as Plymouth County Advisory Board alternate, effective July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025.
Second?
Any discussion?
Yeah, apparently I'm
Can you make
also
it?
not
Or-
able to make that meeting that day. I'm already booked.
Could I do an amendment and name Carol as the
I'll send you the
second,
details.
the first.
Second alternate?
Second alternate.
Oh, boy.
Are you through?
I'm done.
Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Discussion and vote on education incentive for a member of the clerical union.
Second?
Discussion.
Discussion.
Charlie?
So,
I forgot I'm
under
not
the
sharing.
union contract, the board can say yes to an education incentive for employees in the clerical union. Either of associates, which receives a 5% incentive increase over their regular pay, or for a bachelor's, 8%. There's no specific degrees mentioned in the union contract. It's, in essence, it says a degree, paraphrasing here, but in the work of that particular office. We've gone through this before. If you remember, we had, the board dealt with a employee about, I think it was about a year ago.
Excuse me.
The degree itself certainly doesn't, is not related to the work in the office. However, there are a few courses that this individual has taken that might be helpful in terms of being able to do a better job in that office. And so the educational background provides a better basis for the work there. I think, there are several other issues not to do with this particular case that I would bring up possibly under executive session. But I think we have people right now with degrees that are totally unrelated to the work that they're doing. I would, at this point, recommend approving it with the caveat, not on this case, but the caveat that it is something that the board probably should revisit at a future time. Not with this particular person.
As part of the contract.
Carol?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea in this case. I see classes that are relevant to the job, and I think that would help in this instance.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, get educated in certain fields is gonna obviously help them with their position, so I don't see why it shouldn't be rewarded in some aspect.
I don't see any problem with this one, but I agree with Charlie. I think we have to do some serious thought and put specific language in the future for.
Yeah, so it's not ambiguous.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
agreed.
Any further discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye. I make a motion for discussion and vote on education incentive for a member of non-union personnel.
Second?
Discussion.
And similarly, the board has the right for non-union personnel to do the same thing on the same basis. I think I looked at this is an associate's degree, I believe.
Yes.
And I think there's certainly a strong basis, given the courses that were taken by this individual, to approve this.
What is, yeah, what is,
Who is this
what is
individual?
their job? 'Cause we
This
don't
is
have
the
that
fire
information.
department administrative assistant.
Okay,
Oh, okay. Okay.
okay, yeah. Debtor-creditor relations. Doesn't that sound like a fun class to take?
And Carol, what do you think?
Yeah, I would say, again, it's relevant,
Mhm.
and with the same caveat that we put something in to the personnel code to reflect relevance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I make a motion to discuss and vote on an amended agreement with Bedford Property Owner LLC in regard to an agreement and easement related to the sewer line construction.
Second?
Discussion?
Yes.
This is something you guys had already signed. at the
Yeah, so we
previous
had, there
meeting?
was a, this is the agreement with Greystar. They had come in a couple of meetings ago. We
Right.
made the agreement and signed. We sent it off for them to sign because Chris was here, but we needed a different representative to sign it. And when it was brought back to him, their council discovered a line in there that basically said that they had to hook into the system. So
Okay.
they're like, well, we don't have to do anything. So, yeah, no, you don't. So there was a correction made, and it was sent back with the correction, once Chris Kenny was able to review it as well.
Yep.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. I make a motion to approve the EBBA Expo and Family Fun Day date change from Saturday, September 21st, 2024 to Sunday, September 22nd, 2024.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. I make a motion to approve the request from Lauren Tavares Mulhern of the Community Coalition for Change for the use of the DPW electronic sign from May 20th, 2024 through June 9th, 2024, contingent upon the sign being available to advertise the 4th annual celebration of multiculturalism.
Second.
Discussion? Haven't we talked about this before, on how long we would allow the electronic signs out before an event?
It states 30 days in the application,
Okay.
and this would just be for a couple, well,
3 weeks?
3 weeks maybe
Yeah.
or so.
Mhm.
But yeah, based on availability.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I make a motion to approve the request from the East Bridgewater Commercial Club for a one-day liquor license and fundraiser event, WAGS, Waiting Animals Getting Support, on June 8th, 2024, from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m., pending police chief approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I make a motion to approve the request from the East Bridgewater Commercial Club for the 8th Annual Road Race Sidney Craven Memorial Fund on June 15th, 2024, from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Second.
Any discussion?
Are you wearing a tutu?
I probably will.
Then I'm in favor.
Well, if you're doing that pending, are you amending it that I have to wear it too?
No, no, you don't have to.
You may, though.
I
You
might.
may.
That's a may. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I make a motion to approve the request from the East Bridgewater Commercial Club for South Shore Race Lost Community 5K on June 16th, 2024, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m.
And that may be lost, L-O-S-S, rather than lost, I think.
Lost Community, okay. I didn't know if they were fans of like the TV show Lost.
It's been a while, though.
They'd be very dedicated.
Be a lot of running there weekend. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. I make a motion to approve the request from Amanda Venezia of Glampology for the use of Sachem Rock Farm outdoors and Town Common for family and children Christmas pictures on November 16th, 2024, and November 17th, 2024, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Second.
Any discussion?
I saw a picture of her setup that she's going to do for this, and it is amazing. So, I think it's very cool.
Good. All those in favor?
Aye. Make a motion to approve the event permit from Chuck Horan of Kiwanis Club of East Bridgewater for the use of the town common to display American flags for 2 weeks to recognize and honor veterans Field of Flags, November 2nd, 2024 to November 16th, 2024.
Second.
Any discussion? It's just great to see those flags there for that 2-week period. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I make a motion to approve the signage request from Chuck Horan of Kiwanis Club of East Bridgewater to put lawn signs and use of DPW electronic sign when available from October 2nd, 2024 to November 2nd, 2024 for Field of Flags support and advertisement.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Next one.
Aye. I make a motion to discuss and vote on an agreement for engineering services by and between the town of East Bridgewater and Weston and Sampson Engineers, Inc.
Second.
Discussion? Charlie?
This is the next phase of their work. This should be briefly through the bidding phase, which we should be getting to, I'm hoping, this fall, and then into the construction phase. So, because we've used up the funds that we would have for the design phase, and going into the next phases.
Carol?
Yeah. I defer to Peter on all
Yeah,
things
anything?
related to,
Nope, yep,
Weston
Charlie
and
had it.
Sampson.
Spot on.
All those in favor?
Aye.
aye. I make a motion to approve the request from Southeastern Regional Service Group to award a contract to WB Mason for paper items for a 12-month period commencing on July 1st, 2024.
Second?
Any discussion? This is a continuous thing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I make a motion to discuss and vote on request from IT Director Ryan McGonigal to surplus the following items as printed. They're projectors. With very long, complicated
Second.
names.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then we have one, oh, no, there's one more here, okay.
One more.
I make a motion to discuss and vote on switching the $350,000 APA grant for the North Bedford Street sewer system from engineering costs to construction costs.
Second?
Charlie?
So the board originally back, it's now probably been a couple of years, more now, had voted early on using its ARPA money to expend $350,000 for the sanitary sewer system, specifically for engineering costs, really with Weston and Sampson. We've delayed using that money as both Melanie and I have been going through checking the regulations on use of ARPA. One of the stipulations, obviously, you have to have procurement practices in place. And in general, the state procurement system is more, it's a stronger system, I guess, not as loose as the federal system, not that the federal system is loose. One of the things about the federal system that's different is that engineering, architecture, several other, well, basically, in Massachusetts, a number of services are exempt, such as architecture and engineering. That's not true under the federal law, which would mean we would need to go out to bid for that contract that we just discussed. And it would be complicated by the fact that I can't go back to Weston Sampson and say, give me bid specs for this contract, because then they can't bid on it, according to federal law. So the best thing to do is to keep the $350 within the sanitary sewer project, but allocate it towards the construction costs rather than the engineering costs. It doesn't change the overall cost of the project. It simply says, this category, we're gonna be funding it from here rather than there. Similarly, the reverse is true for the design. We'll be spending more of the town's money rather than ARPA money. But it doesn't require any appropriations or anything like that to do that. It just was going to be a very difficult situation to put together a procurement, to go out to bid, and go through the process the federal government would require. So my recommendation is, in fact, to keep the money within the sanitary sewer project, but to specifically designate that it will go to construction costs, which, because the state has very specific procurement that more exceeds the federal procurement laws for construction, will be fine.
Good.
Okay,
Any questions, discussion?
makes sense.
All those in favor?
Aye. Then we have one additional action item. I make a motion to accept the resignation of Dan Pica from the Finance Committee and ARPA Committee effective Monday, May 20th, 2024.
Second?
Any discussion? Congratulations, Dan. We look forward to you working on the school committee. You will be missed on the Finance and ARPA Committee.
Very much so.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And, Mr. Chairman, that is it for action items.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Announcements?
No announcements.
Town Administrator report.
I just want to say how happy I am being here in East Bridgewater over a 2-hour town meeting. I know that I heard a number of complaints from people saying how long it took, and, there were delays and people talked a lot, and I said, you want to come visit? I'll show you where 2 hours is.
Come to Carver, where it's sometimes 3 nights.
Yeah, exactly. So I really am quite happy. I think, there are always ways we can improve getting information out to the townspeople, and we'll work with the financial team in doing that as we go through the next round. But I'm happy overall with the result, certainly. That's it on that. ARPA, I'm going to be asking the departments to give reports every 2 weeks as we try and progress these projects along. The reason is that, and I have to, again, work with Melanie on this, I believe that we may have to have actual commitments, contracts in place, especially with the Plymouth County money, by sometime this fall, if not earlier. So, in a number of cases, we've done that, obviously, with the ambulance, as an example. Also, the turf field, we have a signed contract, as an example. But a number of areas where, and this isn't to blame the DPW, the DPW is holding a lot of projects with it because there's nobody else to do them. Everything, and they're gonna be involved so that they're gonna be working under the gun a bit more than many other departments will. But the thing is to start moving these projects along, because I don't wanna be in a situation where the town finds out, oh, you didn't commit the money or you didn't spend the money by a certain date, you're not going to be able to use this money. You're gonna have to return it. I don't want us to lose any of the money that's available to us.
Do we still, Charlie, do we still have money we haven't allocated yet? And-
No, you've allocated everything at this
Okay.
point.
Good.
Trying to think here, Memorial Day. Did that, we did that. Nope, I have nothing else at this point. Oh, except, I did want to say congratulations to the East Bridgewater Public Library. They received a $6,000 provisional grant to contract with a preservation consultant to prepare a formal assessment report on its historic and unique community memory collections. So the report's going to cover building issues, security, police, policies and procedures for digitalization, conservation and or exhibition, and prioritize recommendations for future action. East Bridgewater Public Library was only one of 10 libraries that received this grant. Congrats to Jessica Henderson and library trustees.
Excellent.
Thank you. Board discussions?
Yep.
We'll let Carol go first.
I'm good.
Okay. So, the rec department met for the first time since, I don't know, January, I think it was. But it's hard, they're obviously all volunteers.
All volunteers.
So I've got a few things here that I wanted to bring to the board's attention. First is the rec department voted unanimously to have Dale and the Duds for a concert at the town common. It would be the last day of school, which I believe is Thursday, June 13th.
June 13th, yep.
And we have contacted Flashback Franks. They will be there to present the food for the evening. Do you know roughly what they usually was, like 6 to 8 or how?
Yeah, I want to say like 6:30 to 8:30,
Okay.
but
All right, that's what I couldn't remember.
I mean, it's still in the duds. You could say 6 and they'll start at 7, so,
All right, oh, wow.
There's time and
There
Let's
is.
shoot for the
We call it Julia's
6
time.
6 to 8,
6 to 8?
yeah.
Okay, all right, so we'll write.
Once it starts to get dark, the mosquitoes come out. So
Yeah,
I don't
that's
like
true.
to go too
Yep,
much
okay.
later than that.
So we'll work to get just some flyers. I think Teresa was also going to work with me on that, just put a flyer together and we'll get it out and then bring it over to the EBCAM and
Excellent.
send it out. Yeah, so that looks good. We're all set.
You're going
there.
to therefore approve an event permit for said event.
Oh, yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good
we'd
idea.
like to get it on time this, maybe.
Mm,
You're approving an event right now.
that's
We
what
can.
I'm
We have
hoping.
to have paperwork.
You do.
We
You
don't.
just haven't seen it yet.
We can
Me
approve
neither.
it.
I.
We are meeting
Sorry,
on
it was
the-
misplaced. We'll
We are
find it.
meeting on the 10th.
Yes.
Right.
We have plenty of time.
Okay, so we'll work on that.
Right.
We've given them all leeway over these years. It's about time that they settle down like the rest of the people.
Do they need anything?
You got that,
a
Dale?
trailer or something? I mean, how?
They take care of all that.
Okay, all right, all right, great.
Also, do you want Plymouth County Mosquito Control to come out to do a spray?
That'd be great.
Yeah, we can put that in front of it, yep.
It's a weird thing, like when they play, something about this, they think the sound waves from like the amps kind of keep the bugs off, but then
Okay.
boy, once
And
they
they send
shut
them to
those
us.
off, it's like
Yeah, right. So that's all set.
rock and
We'll
roll
get
and
some-
hot dogs.
Yep.
What more could you ask for on a summer
Absolutely.
night?
So we'll get, I'll get that information out, 6 to 8, that will be Thursday, June 13th, at the Town Common. The second one was, there is an ongoing, I spoke to you about this a few months ago, whenever it was, last year or whatever. So it was right after the Christmas parade. The police detail that was, the
the
bill that was
Christmas
submitted,
parade,
yeah,
yes.
so they submitted a bill for 8,000 and change. Unfortunately, the Christmas parade committee only has 5,000, so they're a little short.
Okay, so
We're gonna pass the hat around first
Right.
and see if we can get.
Well, so we need a reserve from the finance.
Right, yeah, so whatever you could do to help that. I know if you talk directly to Chief Jenkins, he could work it out, whatever needs to be done to do that. And then what I told him going forward, obviously, they need to communicate ahead of time to find out if that line item, because it happened the previous year as well for a lot less, like 1,200 maybe. And I think at the time, Paul was the chief, and he just kind of either squashed it or whatever
Yeah.
they ended up doing. So we just gotta get that figured out, and. that would
They're
help.
a subcommittee of the recreation,
Yeah.
aren't they? Wouldn't the recreation bring that in as a part of their budget every year?
Well, that's
I
my
mean-
third item. So, their budget has been moved.
Stand by.
We worked real hard to get that budget up to like 20 grand, and then, of course, we had some shortcomings here in town, and it went back down to, I think, 5. So, yeah, so there isn't much to work with them, and I certainly get it, and what I've explained to them going forward over the course of, it seems like the last 20 years, but it's only been a few, is that it's hard because they're just a committee and they don't meet as frequently, and they have pushed across the opportunity for them to get a director, which they thoroughly need. There's obviously programs out there. They already got communication from 2 different basketball programs that would like to rent the courts. They got a basketball league that would like them to take over the middle school down there and run that. But they just aren't equipped to do any of that stuff. And we definitely, I definitely understand that we need to find a director, but that, along with that, I told them they have to present some sort of, platform. Like, what is this person's job? Where do they go? How does it work? So I've kind of run this by John Haynes, but not really. But what I'd like to put out there is the possibility, and I talked to the rec committee last week about this, Charlie, maybe you could talk to John Clifford to find out, or someone over there. I'd like to see if we could put it under the direction of the DPW. I mean, I think if we found somebody that worked there, or, we added a few hours, whatever the position may be, it could also encompass whatever they do for clerical work over there. But we could designate 15, 20 hours a week to, start to learn the position. I think that's an easier way, an easy approach. The board seemed to be receptive to it, and of course, we would maintain, I told them, a committee or something, kind of like the commissioners of the water, the same idea, where they would still be able to, foresee or do whatever they do to make sure that everything's done. But it's just, we're just doing this. We're just chasing the tail around and around and around. And again, they've got women's softball league. They're still chasing different local sports, the youth sports around to find out, when they're renting the field versus somebody else, who they rent it to. So there's a lot of moving parts I think they jumped into and started to square away, but, they just didn't have an enforcement. So it just kind of fizzles out as it goes. So, I mean, if that's a possibility, at least I think it's a start for them to have somebody that would, they could go back to and say, hey, we'd like to see this, and this happen. And then we could start to coordinate and find out what they can really do. Because I think I'm not going to say it's going to be a huge moneymaker like they do in some towns. I look at Plymouth and Duxbury and Norwell, and we've looked at some of their programs, and they take in a good portion of money. But I certainly think it could be self-sufficient easily, and also, also generate some money. I mean, just in Strong's Field alone, in John Shea's project over there, I think he, at least $5,000 or $6,000 a year, bringing in from renting the field. I mean, again, he donates all his time to cleaning it and mowing and everything else. So, but that being said, if, we could take a look at that, if the board thinks that's an option as
I
well.
think that's a
So
good
you
option.
see the self-funding basically is paying for this employee.
Could, yeah, I mean, I think that would go back and, generate, we'd have to figure out how that works, or they do have their own fund, I mean, their own revolving fund, yeah. So, I mean, if that was coordinated in there, I think there would be some money in there that would be able to take care of this person to a degree, and then we could find out exactly, like, to your point, like, what can we do to bring more money in here?
Yeah.
And then have somebody they can talk to, like, for someone to have an issue, if they rent the courts, and I said this when they were talking about it, so you rent the courts, and, somebody else shows up, and this girl says, hey, I've got these courts from this hour to this hour, I rent, I paid a rental fee, and who they calling? Like,
Right.
PJ Feria? I mean, they don't know
Yeah.
where to go. But
Right.
I think if we had somebody that would designate it, and John was receptive, John Haynes, to the idea when I first brought it up to him, but he's like, John, he needs more information. He needs to know how this is gonna
Right.
work and, what this. But a lot of the programs that we do and a lot of the stuff that is done by the rec is directly coordinated with DPW anyway.
Right, right, even just like the movie projector.
Hasn't been opened.
Which
that
was
they-
my next
that
question.
they
That-
bought,
that-
like,
How's the movie projector?
somebody needs to
Still in the box, it's still
coordinate
doing
that.
well, yeah, it's still being held.
Because you could rent that out.
Oh,
too,
yeah,
right?
100%.
Absolutely.
Like, and we talked about, like, even at the projects that they could do, or at this, at the central school, towards the end of the year, they're showing a movie or
Yep.
whatever, so it could also be used for that, but, who's gonna, that's the other thing, who's gonna
You need
be
a
in charge
person
of it?
who's gonna
Right,
set it
who's
up.
gonna run it, run
Right.
it, or at least coordinate it to say,
Yeah.
who do I call to rent that? you know?
Right.
And I think this is at least a step forward, because if we wait around and for them to, put some sort of,
Plan together.
right, or even put the direction of what the person, what their job, what their job description is, and get it, and then get it to capital, and then get it to finance, or wherever it needs to go. I mean, it's not gonna happen in my lifetime. I mean, it's just gonna take too long. I mean, it's been hard. And they have made some steps forward, for sure,
They have.
over the course of the last few years, but, it's just, you just can't keep that momentum going, and thought we could, after we had that summer concert a couple of years ago, but it's hard with a volunteer committee.
Yeah, excellent point.
Yeah. That's it. That's what we met with, so.
Okay.
Great.
Yep.
Okay.
That's it.
With that, Madam Chair.
Yes, make a motion to close open meeting and enter executive session, and we are not coming back tonight, no. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, building commissioner, zoning enforcement officer, director of assessing, IT director, town accountant, town administrator. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares. Firefighters, superior officers, clerical, DPW, dispatchers, superior officers, patrol officers, library. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A9, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation, as the chair has determined that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the town's litigating position in a matter involving Town of East Bridgewater versus Ritter Farm. To close executive session, and we are not returning. I, Carol Julius.
Hi, Peter Spagone.
Hi, David Sheedy.